Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out People of Reddit. Story 1. Ruin my clothes, I'll ruin your sex night. This happened a very long time ago. My father never stopped laughing about it. Sorry if this is too long. As context, my parents were divorced for quite some time. She left home, but they kept a friendly relationship. In the property where we lived, there were other houses and I lived on one of them. Separated bills and everything, except for the yard. One day, my dad, he was a mechanic, started to date a woman I'll call Clara. She was quite a case, loved to behave like a victim when caught talking trash about my mom, me or my sisters. She also loved to pull childish moves on me to annoy me. One day, my dad told me that his washing machine broke, and asked if he could use mine. I told him yes, but asked if he could run a drying cycle and hang the clothes that were in the machine, as I had to leave home for an emergency. He said he would, and that was it. When I came back, hours later, I found my wet clothes in a closed plastic bag, exposed to the sun. Talked to my dad and turned out that was Clara, the one who needed to use my washing machine. When I opened the bag, I felt the smell of bleach on my colored clothes. She excused herself, saying that it was to prevent the clothes going smelly in the bag, and helping the colors glow up. Dad and her had a huge argument, and of course she blamed me for making a fuss for something so little. Next day, I overheard Clara talking to one of her friends, telling her that she bought this expensive black lingerie for her to model to my dad and resolve the tension the fat dumb at me, created. She then said she was going to the drugstore to buy some lube to help things going smooth and laughed. As she left in her car, I noticed my washing machine was being used. I took a peek and found said lingerie, so I took it and proceeded to dip it in the blackest used up motor oil my dad had, and proceeded to hang it and let it dry on the sun. Closed all my doors and left for a nice day out. When I came back that evening, Clara was furious and started yelling at me. My dad was there and I told her, I tried to help things going smoothly with my dad, in case your lube failed. Now your fluids will glow up. Edit, paragraphs. Story 2. I need help in your department. 15 or so years ago, I went to a certain chain store that sells cost-effective groceries, craft supplies, home goods to the general public. I needed some assistance in the fabric department. The employee clearly saw me but refused to acknowledge me. She doodled around taking her time and I waited patiently. All of a sudden she just left, leaving me hanging despite me being the only customer in the entire department. Turns out she went on break. The telephone was nearby and clearly labeled with the intercom code. So I picked up the phone, dialed for intercom, and put the entire store on blast. I had people coming from all of the adjacent departments. It was hysterical and by far one of my pettiest moments. I got help in a hurry. Story 3. Non-French people telling me how to eat French food. I don't know if this counts as petty revenge, but here goes. Currently in Paris with my partner and staying here for a month. My in-laws, they're French, this will be relevant, have an apartment in the city so we can stay for as long as we want. My partner was nearby taking a phone call, so I went to a very touristy and popular cafe nearby to try their famous chocolate chaat and see what the hype is about, and croissant so I could dip it in the hot chocolate, a very popular breakfast for the French. As my order arrived, a family of 4, parents, 2 daughters, sat at the table next to me. I was tearing off a small piece of the croissant when the mom cleared her throat and said to me, hon, it's usually eaten with a fork and knife so your fingers don't get greasy. I turned and see all of their disapproving faces, silently judging me for being so uncultured. Oh, sorry. And picked up my fork and knife. I could see my partner walking towards me having finished his phone call, and I slowly cut my croissant with the knife and fork. My partner saw me and burst out laughing. He was like, "What are you doing?" So I turned innocently at the family and said, "Well, they told me I have to eat it with a knife and fork so I won't look uncultured." Partner turned to them and said in a very exaggerated French accent, "Madam, are you French?" They all shook their heads no. He continued, we only eat croissants with our hands. No French will tell you otherwise. Please don't spread this nonsense if you are not French. They all ate their croissants with their hands and my partner looking over them like a proud teacher lol. Story 4. $20. 18 years ago I'm 17, my group of friends and I head to Six Flags amusement park, roller coaster place, that's hours away. We all dogpile into a motel room and decide to save money and split it. It was only $20 a person, but one of the guys claimed he didn't have any money, so I covered his share with the promise he would pay me back. He, of course, never did, and each time we hung out he blew me off. The excuses became progressively more lame. We eventually stopped hanging out, partly over that but also life. So, fast forward to last summer. I own a 3 Airbnbs right next each other in New Orleans. Same group of friends coming out to visit, get trashed on Bourbon St, and Mr. $20 tags along. He, still being broke, negotiates with them to sleep on the couch. I knew he was coming and I knew that the third property wasn't rented that weekend, so I could have easily offered it to him or anyone else that wanted to spread their legs, but as it was, there was enough beds for everyone except Mr. $20. The couch in question was in fact a love seat. I didn't lie to them and say that it was in fact a couch, they just assumed it was bigger in the photo and I never corrected them. So the first night we all go out and I had a plan to let him make it right. If Mr. $20 attempts to make good by just buying me a few rounds, I would casually offer the other place to him. But he didn't. He was actually generally unpleasant to talk to. So the plan changed and after a few drinks I mentioned the third place was available. He asked if he could stay there and I say sure for $20. It clearly did not dawn on him the correlation. He says, damn bro, that's the hookup. Proceeds to pull out $20 and use it to pay for the 2 drinks I just ordered for me and my wife at the bar. I look at him and said, now we're even. It took him a little bit to catch on, but he eventually did, and when he did I told him that he would in fact be sleeping on the love seat. We never talked again. Worth it. Story 5. Call me old, enjoy my petty revenge. Hi all. It's been a few days since I, 23NB, did this to my younger brother, 15M. So on my 23rd birthday my baby brother called me old. I took offense. So I started plotting right there and right then. Now he is a fool and didn't account for how petty I can be and the fact I know his weaknesses. I know what he can't stand. So 2 days ago on his birthday I triple wrapped most of the presents I got for him using 7M total of wrapping paper and over a roll of tape as well as 4 whole newspapers. But my ultimate petty revenge? It was the present I wrapped in 10 layers of paper. I put notes in some of the layers telling him to keep going. That this was the last layer, which was false. There were many more layers to come. For over 3 minutes he sat there, unwrapping one present. Until finally he revealed what was at its core. A singing baby shark. Reddit. My baby brother hates baby shark with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. He looked at me dead in the eye, making eye contact as I giggled like a crazy person and called me a mother ducker. But replace the D with an F. I fear I may have started a war, but Reddit, if I have, rest assured, I will win. Story 6. Steal my email address, enjoy paying for my Netflix. Long time lurker, first time caller, I'll try and keep this concise. On mobile etc. So about 7 years ago my information got stolen and was included in an info dump somewhere. Somebody locked me out of my email and then created a Netflix account with my email. Using 2-factor authentication, I stole my email back and I called Netflix to cancel the account, which I must say they made extremely difficult and were quite rude about. Now at this point, I assume the thief didn't realize I had regained access to my email, as he went right ahead and created another Netflix account, to which I internally groaned at the thought of dealing with Netflix again. However, a thought struck me, maybe I can lock him out of the Netflix account. I went ahead and did that, including finding a PayPal receipt with email address on it. Searched FB by email address and some guy from my country with minor IT qualifications. I messaged him on FB asking if his email was indeed his email, and my email is my.name at. So you would know it's me. After a day or two of no reply, I just said, yeah, that's definitely your email, no worries bud. 7 years later this guy has been footing the bill for my Netflix, and I'm assuming IP address logs will confirm I never created the account in the first place, so I'm confident I'm not doing anything wrong. Started out at $12 a month, now it's 22 or 24 I think. I was tossing up handing my password out with the new sharing rules and seeing how high I could get the bill. Anyways, thanks for reading. Have a good week, petty Reveneggers. Story 7. Not really revenge but still petty. While I was in college I worked at a convenience store. We were open 24/7 365. The worst days to work were big holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. because no one ever came in, because while the place was on a busy road it wasn't near the interstate where travelers would pull in. Well, I'm working Thanksgiving this particular year when this lady, who I will call Karen, comes in. Little backstory. When I started working there the only cups for fountain drinks they had were styrofoam, but a few months later the owners decided to get rid of them and move to all plastic cups. Enough people bitched about this that the owners had us keep one size of foam cup in the store and kept them behind the counter so people had to ask for them. Well, Karen comes to the counter and asks for a foam cup and goes on the usual rant of how plastic cups suck, they sweat all over, get her tables all wet, blah, blah, blah. After fixing her drink and coming back to the counter, she tosses $20 on the counter and starts, "Why are you here? You should be at home with your family today." I just snapped and said, well, if people like you would buy canned or bottled drinks to have at home instead of coming in here for a $1 drink on holidays, there would be no reason for them to open this store and have me working instead of being at home with my family. Her eyes just got real big and she walked out, not even bothering to wait for me to finish ringing her up and give her the change she was owed. I didn't ring that drink up and put the $20 in my pocket. Story 8. Neighbor playing loud music on my one day off. I used to have a neighbor whose fence bordered half my back fence. I lived in a granny flat in the backyard. On my one day off from nursing school I liked to study a little then have a nap, as I also worked and was a single mum of a toddler at the time, so I was often very tired. Anyway, this neighbor had a habit of blaring really loud shitty house music from what sounded like huge speakers, and I just could not rest that day. I marched out of the house and, being a shy but angry person, I chose to pick green oranges and blast them at my neighbor's fence. I hurled the oranges as hard as I could, in tears. I was going through a lot of life stresses at the time as well, so I was desperate to sleep. Bang bang bang, I probably threw 18 oranges until the neighbor shouted, "EY, what's going on?" And I was crying and said, "Your music is too loud." He stuck his head up above the fence and said sorry. I said thank you and went to bed. He never played the music that loud again. Edit. So Nat, CBF. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.